Hey there, fancy friends, it's Oliver. If you are interested in self-defense methods, stay tuned because this video is about how to defend yourself in the cities of Poland in the 1920s. On this channel we research old fighting arts and one focus is about the use of the walking cane as a weapon for self-defense. If I say walking stick, you may think of Bartitsu, but there is indeed more than just this one particular style. Today's topic is a self-defense book with a connection to the Défense dans la rue movement from France, and because my Polish is even worse than my French, Kai will pronounce it for you.
The book is named Sztuka bronienia and was published by Ignacy Harski.
Kai was hardly involved in one of our early YouTube projects about the Polish war psych. This was some years ago, and because unfortunately he will leave us in a few months, it was time to do some Polish stuff again. The book starts with a nice conclusion because it said, if you just have to defend yourself once, all the time you have spent on your training was worth it. And then the preface gave us a nice little insight because it said, after the First World War, everyone is armed, and this changed self-defense drastically. But it contains a lot of different interesting topics. It starts with the take on the walking cane I have never read before, followed up by the knife, the revolver, the gas pistol, which he claims that this is the first self-defense book which deals with that topic. Then there are a few words on the flashlight, boxing, French savate, kicking, jiu-jitsu moves, and also the worst case, some unarmed defense against the revolver, the knife and the stick. An interesting part is the connection to Emile Andre, who wrote a few books on self-defense in France, because if one is a diligent reader, like me, one will notice that the jiu-jitsu and some savate kicks seems to be taken from his book 100 Ways to Defend Yourself in the Streets without weapons. Unlike the boxing is not. And then there's also a little hint naming Emile Andre with his opinion to the coup de pied. Because it fits one of our main topics, we will discover the cane method in an extra video, and because it's interesting too, this is also true for the knife method, which uses an ice pick grip. Comment cane or dagger to tell me what do you want to see first. So let's start with the favorite self-defense weapon according to the internet, the revolver. And that's also the wording of the Polish author, but there has to be 3 points fulfilled. First, you have to be able to shoot. Second, you must have the weapon in hand when it's needed. And third, the caliber has to be 7.65 or higher. And because it's not always the ideal position from which you have to shoot, you must be able to shoot straight from the hips. And if someone grabs your hand, which is still in your jacket, you have to shoot straight through your pocket. And then there is an interesting advice from a time when pistols were on your left side on the belt. Because if someone grabs your right hand, draw your pistol with the left upside down, and you better have a well-trained pinky for that. In the same context, you remember everyone is wearing weapons? The flashlight could be used for 3 main aspects. First, to illuminate, but you should stretch out your arm to the side to make sure you did not create a shadow on the rear side of your revolver. And second, obviously to blind people, but stretch out your arm to the side because people may shoot directly into the light. And Third is to hide yourself in really dark areas, because if you turn out the light, the opponent is blinded again and you have the opportunity to change position to escape or attack from a different angle. The boxing advices are more or less the same Andre gave us, like be the first one to hit and try to block everything with the rear arm and counter directly with the lead. But the picture's looking a bit more English boxing than what we know from Andre. It seems the advices are done with the boxing of their time and location. The Savate kicks are highlighted because they are armed with shoes, have more reach and more muscle in comparison to punches. We find the French low kick, the stop kick, the toe kick, but with an open hip, which could and should, after a little practice, also hit the chest or the face. The showcase jiu-jitsu is also mostly what we know from Andre's book, with a special, the Japanese larynx grip. We will cover that later on. Yeah, same is true for some dirty tricks and tricks of the epoche. The book is closed with some unarmed defenses against various kinds of weapons, and a conclusion, today often called as never box a boxer and never wrestle a wrestler. So a normal person should be able to defend themselves against a boxer by kicking and grappling, or a wrestler by boxing and kicking, and so on. I like that book as a compilation. It seems that the author did not have access to Emile Andre's 100 ways to defend yourself in the streets with weapons, because all the weapon stuff is different and the plagiatism of the unarmed methods are just too big. But it may be he just dislikes what he saw and put in the stuff he thought was better. We will definitely have a walkthrough to Emile Andre's weapon stuff as part of our Defense dans la rue videos, but I wanted to throw this little gem in. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.